We now expand on the story. We're joined on the line by a public leadership expert at the Stellenbosch University, Professor Erwin Schwella, who is joining us on the line. Professor, good evening. Good afternoon to you, rather. Thank you for joining us. There appears to be no end in sight to this matter.
No, this is a hugely messy issue that has evolved now, and it has a long history, and it seems as if it's going to have quite a long future as well. In this case, everything seems to be muddled and into a lot of ambiguity. So the best legal minds are arguing the case in front of the courts, and the best political minds are in some ways planning and strategizing behind the scenes to get maximum political benefit out of this. And with all of that, it seems as if the important part of governance in South Africa is lost again, and that is about delivering services to the people. And it all depends on where you stand on the issue. If you are on the side of Mr. Lille, and if you're on the side of the political parties who now support her, which is not the DA anymore, then you see it from that perspective, and you obviously argue it politically and legally from that perspective. If you're on the side of the DA, you see it from that perspective, and you argue it legally and politically from that perspective. And the only way we're going to get some form of finality on this, which won't happen soon, but it will be through court cases and court decisions. This is beyond any other remedy. It's now a court matter, and in the meantime, people will posturize and strive to serve their own interests.
But we know that Patricia de Lille is remaining rather defiant here. She's really shown in the months and in the weeks that have led to this now matter splashing out in the courts that she's really not going anywhere. How will that bode with her party, the DA, which has said what it said and has dismissed her? How does it bode in terms of that relationship that she'll need to have with the Democratic Alliance, depending on the outcome of the court on this matter?
Well, that relationship, at least from the side of the DA, is non-existent. The DA has retracted her membership of the party based upon the clause that they found in their constitution after what I call a deep dig. And they say that in terms of that constitutional provision in the constitution of the DA, remember this is now not the national South African constitution, but the DA's constitution, that in terms of that and what she has done factually in terms of saying that as soon as this whole issue is resolved, then she will resign from the DA, that gives them the opportunity to rescind the membership, which they did. So from their side, she's not a member of the party anymore. From her side, it is quite ambiguous once again, because she argues that she has not resigned from her membership, and she's still a member. But of course, that leads into a claim that she therefore remains the mayor. So once again, there is no relationship, at least no positive, constructive relationship between Mr. Lille and the DA. That relationship then impacts, or the lack of that then impacts on her position as the mayor. That is contested in the courts, it's contested politically, and there is no resolution. And in the meantime, while all of these posturizing approaches and interest-based approaches continue, city governance have to show some damage.
Of course, this points to the internal squabbles within the Democratic Alliance itself as a party. And we're also hearing reports now that the DA members who have backed Patricia de Lille will be chopped now, and they'll lose their membership. How does that reflect on the party in its entirety, on the way that it's managed this whole squabble with Patricia de Lille?
The interesting thing is that the DA in the past and in terms of procedural perspectives acted mostly in accordance with their own processes and procedures in terms of due process, and they often accuse the ANC of having many of these problems. And of course, the ANC do have some of these problems, but now it seems as if the DA is not completely immune to similar situations. It was clumsily managed. This matter should have been resolved within the party months ago, And if that happened, then all of these other issues wouldn't have arisen. Now it has become, as I've said before, a very messy issue with a lot of complications and positioning, and it's going to take a huge amount of untangling of this particular web that has been spun.
I mean, the DA has clearly lost confidence in Patricia de Lille. In terms of the legacy that she would leave behind, irrespective of the outcome of that court appearance, will she be remembered, in your opinion, as perhaps a leader who has left the party divisive in this point in time?
Well, she's definitely divided the party, but there's another legacy one should look at, and that is, of course, her governance legacy, because she was not only a member of the party, she was also the mayor of the city of Cape Town. And at least in the first term, I think she did quite a good job. She projected the image of the city. She was, in some ways, the poster personality, and that created a lot of value for the city and for the party. However, for some reason, probably due to the interesting statement we often make about politics, in politics, the opposition sits across from you. They are the other party. Your real enemies are behind your back. And what has happened here, there's been a huge infight in the DA, and this created, and all parties are probably in some ways responsible for that fight. It's not as if anybody is glaringly innocent. This has created a rift, and therefore, after that, it became so acrimonious that it is now a serious problem for everybody concerned. So the best is to resolve these things quickly and significantly, and also in a proper way as soon as they start to raise their ugly heads.